हे गाइस, वेलकम बैक टू द चैनल। आज का जो हमारा टॉपिक है वो है सॉलिड स्टेट और मैंने यहाँ पे एक ब्रीफ इंट्रोडक्शन दे दिया है कि आज के लेक्चर में हम कौन कौन सा टॉपिक कवर करेंगे। सो फर्स्ट वी विल सी द थ्री स्टेट्स ऑफ मैटर एंड वी विल फाइंड आउट व्हाट आर द प्रॉपर्टीज दैट डिफरेंशिएट्स देम। Then we will focus only on the solid state and we will see that solids are classified into crystalline solids and amorphous solids, and we will study what are their individual properties. Then we will find that crystalline solids are further classified into ionic solid, covalent solid, molecular solid and metallic solids, and we will see what are their individual characteristics and what properties differentiates them. Fine. So let's start. To start with, we have the three states of matter that are solid, liquid and gas. तो पहले तो इनके properties देख लेते हैं that differentiates them. First we have interparticle space, that is space between two particles. For solid, as we can see, the interparticle spaces are minimum, while for gas the interparticle spaces are maximum, right? For liquid, the spaces are intermediate to that of solid and gas, correct? The next property is interparticle forces, that is the force holding two particles together. For solid, the forces between two particles are very strong, maximum, as a result of which the interparticle space is minimum. Again for gas, the forces holding the particles are least, as a result of which the spaces between the particles are huge, right? While for liquid, the interparticle forces are intermediate to that of solid and gas, as a result of which the spaces are also intermediate to solid and gas. Next property is fluidity. So as we have seen, the interparticle forces for solid is maximum. They have a rigid structure. As a result, the particles in solid cannot flow. That is, fluidity is negligible. While for liquid and gas, the interparticle forces are comparatively less than that of solid. As a result, the particles for both liquid and gas can flow. Coming to the examples, among all the elements we have, all the metals are solid at room temperature except mercury. Mercury is liquid at room temperature, and among the halogens, bromine is liquid at room temperature. For gases, all the noble elements such as helium, neon, argon are gases at room temperature. Other than that, hydrogen, oxygen, fluorine, they are also gases, right? अब देखते हैं solid state होने के लिए condition क्या होनी चाहिए. So a substance is said to be solid if its melting point is above the room temperature under atmospheric pressure. Now what is melting point? Melting point is the temperature at which solid melts down to liquid. Now suppose a substance has a melting point of 18 degrees Celsius. That means at 18 degrees Celsius, it will melt down from solid to liquid. Now at room temperature, that is at 25 degrees Celsius, that substance will exist as a liquid, right? So for a substance to exist as solid, its melting point must be greater than that of 25 degrees Celsius. That is the room temperature. So the condition for a substance to exist as solid is that its melting point should be higher than the room temperature, right? अब आते हैं characteristics पे. So जो भी characteristics हैं वो आपस में interconnected हैं. Like solid are rigid and have a definite shape, as a result of which they maintain their volume despite of whichever container they are kept in. So that will not depend on the shape and size of the container, right? They are incompressible because of their rigid structure. they have a high density, and the particles have negligible diffusion because of the strong interparticle forces. So what we can deduce from this, that the constituents of solid, be it be atom or molecule or ions, they are very closely packed together because of the strong interparticle forces, as a result of which the interparticle spaces are minimum. So movement of the particles will be negligible. Pressure has hardly any effect on solids, because of which the diffusion of particles are negligible, and they do not have any translatory motion. That is, the particles are fixed at one position and do not move from one position to another. But yes, they can oscillate about their mean position. That is, they can move to and fro about the mean position, just like in pendulum, right? Now let's find out what happens when a solid is heated. On heating a solid, vibratory motion of the particles will increase because you have provided some external energy. This will lead to increase in kinetic energy of the particles. Eventually, kinetic energy of the particles will get so large that it can overcome the binding forces of the particles. Now we know solids have strong interparticle forces. Now, if the kinetic energy becomes so large that it can exceed the binding forces of the particles, then that interparticle forces will start weakening, as a result of which interparticle spaces will start increasing, and at that point solid will melt down to liquid, and this temperature at which solid melts down to liquid is called the melting point. Now high melting point means greater interparticle forces. That is, if the solid has strong interparticle forces, it will require very high temperature, that is high external energy, so that the kinetic energy can exceed the binding forces, and high temperature means high melting point. So high melting point suggests that the solid has strong interparticle forces. अब आते हैं classification of solids. So solids can be classified into crystalline solid or amorphous solids. अब crystalline solids और amorphous solids क्या होते हैं, उनके properties क्या क्या होते हैं, ये हम compare कर लेते हैं. So the first property that we have is the nature of arrangement of constituent particles. Now as you can see in crystalline solids, the particles are ordered in a regular manner and they have a definite arrangement, right? Whereas in amorphous solids, the particles are randomly ordered, that is, they do not have any regular arrangement. This will affect the shape of the solids. For crystalline solids, they have a definite shape because of the regular arrangement of the particles. Whereas in amorphous solids, they do not have a definite shape because the particles are randomly arranged, right? Now coming to the nature. Crystalline solids are true solids, whereas amorphous solids are known to be supercooled liquids or pseudo-solids. This is because some of the characteristics of amorphous solids are similar to liquids. Okay? अब जो next property है वो है order of arrangement. Now because crystalline solids they have a regular arrangement, they can be arranged stack by stack in 2D as well as in 3D in the same manner. This will lead to long range order. Whereas in amorphous solids they have a random arrangement of the particles, so they have a short range order. Now among this random arrangement, there may be certain regions where they have small orderly arrangement, and in that region they may behave like crystalline solids. So such regions are called crystallates, where they behave like crystalline solids. Okay. Next property is the melting point. So crystalline solids they have a sharp melting point, whereas amorphous solids melts over a range of temperature, right? अब कुछ और भी properties हैं जो discuss कर लेते हैं. So the next property that we have is the nature of physical properties. Now crystalline solids, they are anisotropic in nature, whereas amorphous solids, they are isotropic in nature. Now what do you mean by anisotropic and isotropic? So a substance is said to be anisotropic in nature if physical properties are different in different directions, because particles falling on the way are not same. Now let's find out what happens in a crystalline solid. So suppose you move in this direction. So you can see all the red particles are aligned in this direction, right? Next, if you move in this direction, you can see the alignment of particles are one red and one blue in this manner, right? Now suppose if you are moving in this direction, so you can see the blue particles are aligned in this direction. So actually in all the different directions you can find different alignment of particles, as a result of which physical properties will be different in different directions. Thus crystalline solids are anisotropic in nature. Now coming to amorphous solids. So amorphous solids are isotropic in nature because physical properties are same in all directions. Now we know for amorphous solids they have a random arrangement, right? So in whichever directions you go, you will get that random arrangement of the particles only, right? So physical properties are same in all the directions, as a result of which amorphous solids are isotropic in nature. अब जो अगली प्रॉपर्टी है वो है rigidity. Now crystalline solids are rigid because they have a definite shape and they are not distorted by any distorting forces, whereas amorphous solids are not rigid. They have an irregular shape, as a result of which they can be distorted by any distorting forces such as bending or any compressing forces, right? The next property that we have is the cleavage property. Now crystalline solid will give you a clean cleavage when they are cut, whereas amorphous solids will give you a irregular cleavage. Okay, coming to the examples. So examples for crystalline solids are sodium chloride, copper sulfate, diamond, sugar. Now here I have given you a 3D structure of NaCl. So the green particles that you can see are Na plus and the violet particles that you can see are Cl minus. So as we know, in crystalline solids they will have a regular and definite arrangement of particles. So you can see that the particles are arranged in a regular manner, stack by stack, and they have a 3D structure, long range order. So all the properties that we have discussed are getting satisfied for crystalline solids, right? Now coming to the examples for amorphous solids. So examples are glass, rubber, polymers. Now we know for glass, when they are heated, they get soft and they behave like fluid, right? And as a result of which glasses are known to be pseudosolids, which we have already discussed that amorphous solids are not true solids, they are pseudosolids, right? अगर आपने पुराने बिल्डिंग्स देखे हैं तो वहां पे जो भी विंडोज होते हैं जहां ग्लासेस लगे होते हैं तो वहां पे आप देखेंगे कि नीचे की तरफ ग्लासेस थिक हो जाते हैं. दिस इज बिकॉज ओवर द टाइम due to different temperature the glass have flown downwards, right? They have behaved like a fluid, it has flown downwards and the bottom gets thicker. तो वो तो कोई solid की तो property हुई नहीं, as a result of which they are known to be pseudosolids. Fine. अब आते हैं classification of crystalline solids. So crystalline solids are classified into ionic solids, कोवेलेंट सॉलिड्स, मॉलिक्यूलर सॉलिड्स एंड मेटालिक सॉलिड्स, जो कि हमने इंट्रोडक्शन में आपको बता दिया. अब एक एक करके इनके प्रॉपर्टीज डिस्कस कर लेते हैं. सो फर्स्ट वी हैव आयनिक सॉलिड्स. सो The example of ionic solids are NaCl and ZnS. So here I have provided the 3D structure for NaCl. Okay, so you can see the constituent particles are cations and anions, that is Na plus and Cl minus, that are arranged in a regular manner, correct? And they are closely packed in spaces, right? As a result of which they have formed a 3D or space representation, correct? Now coming to their characteristics. So as the constituent particles are cations and anions, so the binding forces involved will be strong electrostatic force of attraction, right? Now if you know that the interparticle forces are strong, then they will have high melting point. Fine. Also, they are closely packed. Hence, they will be quite hard. Correct. Now, again, as the ions are closely packed in spaces, they will be non-conducting in nature because the ions cannot move. Ionic movements are negligible. Right? However, they will be conducting when in molten state or aqueous solution, because in that case the ions can move, correct? They are soluble in water, since we know like dissolves like. So as ions are present, they can be soluble in polar solvents such as water. Also they can take part in ionic reactions and it will occur in very short time, right? So next we have covalent solids. So the examples for covalent solids are graphite and diamond, which are allotropes of carbon. So here I have provided the structure for graphite and diamond. So the constituent particles of covalent solids are atoms, and these atoms belongs to non-metals such as carbon in case of graphite and diamond. They are linked by covalent bonds. So you can see in graphite they have a layered structure, and these layers are linked by covalent bonds. So these dotted bonds are covalent linkage between the two layers of graphite, right? The arrangement extends throughout the solid called network, as a result of which covalent solids are also known as network solids. Now in diamond, if you see, each carbon is sp3 hybridized. That is, each carbon is tetrahedrally linked to 4 other carbons, right? And similarly, all the other carbons will be linked to 4 other carbons, as a result of which they can form a huge network, right? So the characteristics will be that they exist as a giant molecule because of the huge network. They are hard as closely packed, and brittle because the network can be broken if stress is applied, right? Also, because of this huge network, they have high melting and boiling points. They are poor conductors of electricity because the constituent particles are atoms. So, due to absence of ions, they cannot conduct electricity, that is, they are insulators. Exception is graphite. Graphite is a good conductor of electricity because in graphite the carbon are sp2 hybridized, that is, the electrons in 3 hybrid orbitals are involved in 3 bonds, and the 4th electron is free, which can conduct electric current, as a result of which graphite becomes good conductor of electricity, right? Next we have molecular solids. So the constituent particles for molecular solids are molecules. So molecular solids are further classified into non-polar molecular solids, polar molecular solids, and hydrogen bonded molecular solids. So let's discuss their properties one by one. First is non-polar molecular solids. So example is H2 and other diatomic gases such as N2, or monoatomic noble gases such as helium, neon, So they exist in gaseous state at room temperature and normal pressure, and they will solidify only under the condition of low temperature and high pressure, right? So all these molecules, they are linked by covalent bonds. The binding forces, weak dispersion forces or van der Waals forces or London forces, as a result of which they are soft. Also, since the interparticle forces are weak, they have low melting and boiling point. They are non-conductors of electricity because the constituent particles are molecules and not ions. Okay, so there are few solids like iodine or naphthalene which actually exist in the solid state at room temperature because of the large molecular size. Next is polar molecular solid. Example is ammonia. Now here the constituent particles are polar because of the electronegativity difference in the bonding molecules. That is, nitrogen in case of ammonia is electronegative, whereas hydrogen is electropositive, right? So they develop a partial charge on nitrogen of delta negative, whereas hydrogen develops a partial positive charge, as a result of which they have strong dipolar attraction, right? Because of the polar charges, and they are held by polar covalent bonds. And because the interparticle forces are somewhat stronger than the nonpolar solids, the melting and boiling points are higher than nonpolar solids. Again, they are either gas or liquid at room temperature. Ammonia is a gas at room temperature, whereas HCl is a liquid at room temperature. They will solidify only at low temperature and high pressure. Last we have hydrogen bonded molecular solids. Example is ice. So the red particles you can see are O2 minus and the white ones are H plus. So you can see each water molecules are linked through hydrogen bonding, right? So if this is a water molecule and this is another water molecule, so they are linked by hydrogen bonding. Again, these two water molecules are linked by hydrogen bonding. So actually ice forms a cage-like structure because of the hydrogen bonding, and this hydrogen bonding will only occur if the other atom other than hydrogen are fluorine, oxygen and nitrogen. Then only they will have strong dipolar attraction, and because of the huge electronegativity difference they will form the hydrogen bonding, right? So last we have metallic solids. So example for metallic solids are copper metal. So in order to form metallic solids, the atoms in the metals must lose electrons to form cations. So copper must lose electrons to form copper 2 plus, right? And the electrons that are lost from the valence shell, they will be delocalized and will surround the cations, right? As a result, they will develop electrostatic interaction between cations and the electron cloud, which will form the metallic bonds, and this metallic bonds will hold the metallic solid together. Also, the constituent particles will be atoms of same metal. As in copper metal, they will have only copper atoms, right? Coming to characteristics. They are malleable and ductile. They are not brittle like ionic solids. They have shining luster. They are hard and they have high melting and boiling point because the cations and electrodes, they are closely packed in the space, right? They have high electrical and thermal conductivity in solid state, which is unlike the ionic solids. This is because here the valence electrons can actually move freely in the entire lattice and thus can conduct electricity. They are denser than nonmetals because tight crystal packing is present due to the metallic bonds. Also, they have high tensile strength. अब लास्ट में कुछ प्रॉपर्टीज देख लेते हैं जो आयनिक, कोवेलेंट, मॉलिक्यूलर और मेटालिक सॉलिड्स को डिफरेंशिएट करते हैं. फर्स्ट वी हैव constituent particles. For ionic solids, they are ions. For covalent solids, they are atoms. Molecular solids, the constituent particles are molecules. And for metallic solids, they are cations and the valence electrons. Next is the binding forces. So for ionic solids, the binding forces strong Coulombic electrostatic forces because of the presence of ions. For covalent solids, they are covalent bonds. For molecular solids, they are dispersion forces. For non-polar molecular solids, dipole-dipole interactions for polar molecular solids, and hydrogen bonding for hydrogen bonded molecular solids. Whereas metallic solids, they have metallic bonds. Next is physical nature. For ionic, they are hard and brittle. For covalent solids, they are hard. Molecular solids, they are soft. Metallic solids, they are hard, but they are not brittle. Yet they are deformable. That is, they are malleable, ductile, because they can be deformed due to stress. Coming to melting point. Ionic solids have high melting point. So also covalent solids. Molecular solids have low melting point. Also for metallic solids, their melting point are high. Next is electrical conductivity. Ionic solids, they are insulators in solid state, whereas they can conduct only in molten state or aqueous solution. Covalent solids are insulators except graphite. Molecular solids are again insulators. Metallic solids are conductors in solid as well as molten state. Also, I have given examples for each of the ionic, covalent, molecular and metallic solids. ओके, सो आज के लेक्चर में हमें जो भी टॉपिक्स डिस्कस करने थे वो हम कर चुके हैं. यहाँ मैंने एक ब्रीफ दे दिया है कि हमारे नेक्स्ट लेक्चर में हम कौन कौन से टॉपिक्स डिस्कस करेंगे. आपको इस पूरे वीडियो का पीडीएफ लिंक नीचे डिस्क्रिप्शन में मिल जाएगा. अगर आपको कोई भी डाउट है तो आप प्लीज नीचे कमेंट में बताएं. और उससे पहले तो आपके पास जो भी बुक है, एनसीईआरटी है या जो भी है, वो एक बार आप अच्छे से पढ़ ले ताकि जो भी हमने आज पढ़ा है इस लेक्चर में वो आपको क्लियरली समझ आ जाए. एंड प्लीज आप मुझे नीचे कमेंट में बताएं कि आपको समझ आ रहा है कि नहीं, क्योंकि मुझे नहीं समझ आ रहा है कि आपको समझ आ रहा है कि नहीं. सो यस, इफ यू लाइक द वीडियो डोंट फॉरगेट टू लाइक एंड कमेंट. ऑल्सो जाने से पहले हम आपके लिए 2 टारगेट्स लेके आए हैं. पहला तो ये है कि इस चैनल में जितने भी वीडियोज है, अभी बहुत कम है अभी, पर जितने भी अपलोडेड वीडियोज है वो सारे आप देख ले. वो सारे टॉपिक्स आप अच्छे से पढ़ ले, रिवाइज कर ले, मतलब एकदम फिंगर टिप में होना चाहिए. दूसरा जो टारगेट है कि वी आर एमिंग टू हिट 100 सब्सक्राइबर्स बाय द एंड ऑफ दिस वीक. तो अगर आपने अभी तक चैनल सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है तो जल्दी जल्दी चैनल सब्सक्राइब करें एंड अपने फ्रेंड्स को भी बोले चैनल सब्सक्राइब करने. तब तक आप अच्छे से पढ़ते रहिए, ध्यान रखें अपना और मिलते हैं जल्दी. टेक केयर. थैंक यू.